Hello, my name is Matt McCauley from the Fire from Momire podcast. I want to welcome you to another edition of this, and we apologize for not putting out more on a consistent basis, but we try to do what we can do, and as time allows, and we have the summer months going on and things of that nature, but I've had some demand to put out another one, so I intend to keep my word and keep it going. So this is basically designed for, we started out years ago, people out of prison that I have experience as a volunteer prison chaplain since 2000. Now we're involved in the Hope Center, which is a drug and alcohol treatment center that I'm a volunteer at currently here in Galax, Virginia, where we're filming. And also I've been involved in different things involving chaplain work over the years as a volunteer. And so we've had ideas back in the day. We always had an idea when our guys get out of prison, what do we do? So we came up with an idea to send them something once a month. We used to be the old CDs. We'd mail them CDs. And then since I moved up here to the mountains of North Carolina, we're on the Virginia side here making this podcast. We decided to go full tech. And so we've hired a great guy named Eugene McCurdy. Is here with the podcast booth in Galax, Virginia. So we're now sending this out, and we've tried to go to Facebook. And so a lot of you have requested off of Facebook. They're not even involved in prison, never been to prison, just people that listen. So it's open to everybody now. So we're glad that you're listening. Hopefully we're doing something that's helping you out in your Christian walk. And I'm excited. I want to say that. That's why we call it the Fire from Momire. When I was in Bible school many years ago, School of Ministry at the church, we lived in a small town called Momire, North Carolina in Nash County. And one of my best friends in the school with me, he said, "Oh Lord, here comes the fire from Momire." So I knew that there would be no trademark rights violation. At least I hope there's not another one out there, Mark. And I'll introduce my guest in a minute, but it seems to work well, and God's blessing us in the process. I want to thank our sponsors. These are people who have helped us out, either letting us work for them, supporting the podcast in one way or another, giving us some support or allowing their name to be out here. Number one, Bartholomew Enterprises. My friend Brian Bartholomew from Nashville, North Carolina, has really helped me out a whole lot. Appalachian Naturescapes, Terrell Knutson out of Morganton, North Carolina, does a great work there. A lot of work on the lake, up around Lake James in that area. Appalachian Mobile RV, who was my last guest, Jeff Paisley. When we talked about Fulfilling Your Dreams series, he's out of Wilkesboro, North Carolina. He supports it by letting me work for him some, and then I'm able to take some of the funding and pay for the podcast and things of that nature. Then we have a new friend that's an old friend, but a new friend to the podcast, Kevin James, who runs Elevate Field Agency Services in Salisbury, North Carolina. And then I'm also a painter on the side. I think I do it all, Mark. Hall Painting out of Bailey, North Carolina. It helps us out with a lot of side work on times as we need it and as things come up. And then also my accountant is Kevin Bersham out of Dobson, North Carolina, Blue Ridge Tax Services. So any of these people that you may need tax information or tax help or landscaping, RV repair, painting, pressure washing for trucks, anything of that. If you just message me in the comments or get a hold of me, we'll try to make that happen where you can get hold of somebody that can help you out. But we really appreciate their help, and hopefully they'll get some business off of this or at least some support, and we'll go from there. Today in the scriptures, I want to read about a man. His name was Obed-Edom, and I'm just going to cite the scripture. It's out of 2 Samuel chapter 6. It talks about it and the Ark of the Covenant. We've seen, many of you maybe not be familiar with the scriptures, but you've seen the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're after the Ark of the Covenant, trying to rightfully keep it in the right place, and the Nazis are after them. It's actually a true story, by the way. There was a lot of effort back in World War II with Heinrich Himmler trying to get artifacts and things of that nature, relics and things. They believed in the occult, and they felt like if they could find the Ark of the Covenant, so hence the movies made by Spielberg, something in the nature of that. But in the scriptures, David is trying to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to from Philistine territory back to Jerusalem, and they're carrying it wrong on a cart, an ox cart. That's mentioned in the scriptures, and a man named Uzzah reaches out to keep it from falling down when it runs over a rock or a ditch or something like that. And then the Bible said that he was killed as a result of touching the Ark of the Covenant. And so then David is trying to figure out where we're going to keep this ark. And so they put it in the house mentioned in 1 First Chronicles chapter 13, they keep the ark, and the Bible said in the house of Obed-Edom, and it stayed there for 3 months. And the Bible said that the ark of the covenant was there in his house, and the Bible said that the Lord blessed him for 3 months, blessed everything he had. He was such an anointing around the ark. It was such an energy around the ark, such a presence of God. And my research showed that Obed-Edom was actually a Philistine. He was actually an enemy of the Israeli people at that time, but yet somehow maybe he was converted over, whatever the case may be. But if you read further in Scripture in 1 Chronicles 16 and 15, Obed-Edom, after they came and took the ark, rightfully so, with the priest and the proper way to take it back to Jerusalem. And the Bible said that Obed-Edom was signing up to be a gatekeeper, a singer. He was around the house of the Lord continually. He was even appointed as a porter, whatever that may be, somebody that was watching over the temple. And so everything that it could happen with Obed-Edom, he wanted to stay around that ark. He didn't want to live on an experience that happened for one time in his life for 3 months and then just you let it go. He was constantly going after the ark. Another thing I want to tell you in the New Testament was in Mark chapter 5, there was a man, the Bible said, was demon possessed. Nobody could tame him. He was cutting himself with chains, things of that nature. And Jesus came and healed him and set him free from the demons in his life. And, it's interesting that he wants to work for Jesus, wants to join the crusade team, wants to do something for Jesus Christ. It's interesting. One man, Jesus tells in Scripture, he said, what can I do? And he said, sell everything you have and follow me. The Bible said he hung his head and went away, yet he wants to follow him. And this guy wants to follow Jesus. And Jesus says, no, I can't let you follow me, but I want you to go back and tell great things the Lord has done in the Decapolis, which is 10 cities of that region. And the Bible said everybody that saw him, that knew what he used to be, knew that he used to be bound up, used to have mental health issues, used to be involved in substance abuse, whatever the case. I don't know what got him involved in allowing this much demonic power to get in his life, but he was free from it. And everybody knew it. And the Bible said he was clothed and in his right mind. And so all of those hundreds of people, millions, whatever, I doubt it was that many, but it was a lot of people in those cities knew there was an issue, that this man had been changed. And so Jesus used him to tell people what happened. But bottom line is, the thing I'm trying to reach you on is you can't live off an experience of one time. You got to go in a constant quest to do something for God, to do something for the Lord in your life. And as Obed-Edom wanted to stay near the ark, so do I. I want to be where the presence of the Lord is. I want to have it working in my life, have it working in my jobs, have it working in my ministry. I want to be telling the Decapolis, so to speak, everybody I know when the time is right, what the Lord has done for me. And with that said, I've got a former guest on named Mark Turbyfield, and he's been a guest with me in the past, and he had just come out of the Hope Center that we have over here in Galax. We interviewed him one time about his experience. He's a former functioning alcoholic, but he was bound up by alcohol. I don't know what your problem may be listening to this, if it is, or somebody in your family, whether it's alcohol, drugs, pornography, whatever the case in the past, just sin, undisciplined lifestyle, just sin. It has many forms and many things that it takes. I heard a preacher say one time she wears a lot of dresses, but at the end of the day, her name is Delilah, Mark. But I've got Mark Turbyfield with me now. This is fast forward time. We interviewed Mark about his life, and we interviewed him with some questions and answers about how much better it was to be out of the alcoholic lifestyle, how much God has blessed him. And over time, I've watched Mark grow in the Lord. We've had lunch together on a couple of occasions, and there's been times I've seen Mark consistently going to our church in Galax over at Christ Chapel, and I know he intends and helps out some other things. He's trying to help out at the Hope Center as a post person that was in there at one time, and he's trying to go back and help people. And everything I hear from Mark, he's constantly going back and trying to help somebody that's in that place. And so I wanted to call this podcast Mark Turbyfield 2.0, born again hard, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud, man. I'm sorry. I'm so proud to see you, clothed and in your right mind, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
God has done such a work with you. And then we talked to Mark, and over time he began to tell me, things are really working out. And he said, not too long ago, he said, man, I've got this offer to go from where I'm at now. I'm doing great, having a great work. Mark is a mechanic. He reaches out to the mechanic world as far as his work and things of that nature. But he said, I've got this idea, an opportunity to go with a higher paying job and a higher level of work. And I knew in my spirit, I said, Mark, Mark's going to get this job. He said, I got an interview next week. Long story short, we'll let Mark tell you how it's worked out. But Mark has moved straight up, and he's where the Ark of the Covenant is, so to speak. He's where the presence of the Lord is, and God is using him. And I just wanted to tell you, Mark, if you'll just tell the audience that's listening, how things have happened. How did it work out where God was able to continually elevate you? I'm talking rung by rung, up the ladder of success, so to speak, in the life of a Christian. And I'm going to turn it over to you if you have something you want to share. I know you're like me. You got a lot of breath or a lot of words in a short breath, but, man, you can't turn it off, brother. When it comes on, it's ready.
I'm a talker.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm a talker. Look, hey, first thing I want to say is tomorrow.
Which is July 3rd, right?
Yeah, tomorrow's July the 3rd. I get to
sir.
celebrate 120 weeks.
Yes, sir.
I don't count them in days of sobriety.
That's awesome.
I've been sober for 120 weeks, and I'm going to look at the camera and let everybody know you look in my face. It's real. It can happen. 120 weeks ago was a different dude. But going back to what you're talking about, I never did have the thought process that I needed to pray about anything. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You ain't got to pray about nothing. Well, you really do. But you have to pray. You have to pray knowing that you're sincere. You have to pray knowing that God's going to show up in your life. And if it ever happens to you one time, you'll go back and do it again. You'll go back and lean on him, ask him to help you. When my prayers started really affecting my life is when I became thankful more and more. You don't just pray to him to ask him for something. You may ask him for guidance. You may ask him for wisdom. You may ask him for something, but not nothing materialistic. You don't want nothing like that, but you got to be thankful for what he's already done.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Everything that he's already done in your life, to constantly go to him. Don't ever leave him out. And we go through daily struggles. Everybody does. And the ones that like a lot of people were in recovery with me, and they're no longer in recovery. They're backwards. The reason being they forget of how precious it is to get there, mm-hmm. and how easy it is to go backwards. But we're fortunate to go to, you get to be around people. If you're around people that are like-minded, they tend to help you. What's that old saying that, somebody be like, I'll pray for you. Do they really? Do they stop right then? This morning I'm on side 81 over here working on the air compressor, right? My new job, I love it. I get to travel. I get to work on equipment. I get to use my hands. It's the greatest thing ever. And a guy that I've worked on his work trucks for years, Ford diesel tech here. I was a Ford diesel tech, then a Duramax tech, and did it all. And a lot of people have these trucks that they count on to work on. So you develop relationships with people. And I'm over there this morning on the side 81 working on a Kaiser air compressor. And long-term customer of mine for years and years calls me up and he says, hey man, he said, how's it going? I needed to ask you about my truck. We talked about his truck. And he said, what you got going on in your life? And I said, hey man, this evening about 5:00, I'd like for you to pray for me. And I know that guy.
Was he a Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you brought it up. Okay.
Yeah, his name's Jose Wingard.
Okay.
And he actually attends church right over here at Cornerstone Church. He's a great man. If you ever need a tree cut down, call Jose. He's the dude.
Yes, sir.
But when I asked him to pray for me, I know today at 5:00 he stopped whatever he was doing and did it.
Okay.
I know him. So if you tell somebody I'm going to pray for you, go on ahead and do it. 2 weeks ago, my youngest son, he's going through some personal issues, and I was at work, and his wife called me, and I was dealing with some stuff. And there was a guy there that I've never met before. His name is Chris. He works for Big Iron Auction Company, and the company that I work for now was selling some equipment. This guy's there, and I'm operating the machinery so he can video it. And he saw a look of concern in my face because I had just gotten off the phone with my daughter-in-law talking about my son Caleb. And the guy walks up to me, sitting in a lull. I was in a lull forklift deal. And he just stopped filming. He stopped doing what he was doing. And he said, something going on with you? He said, something bothering you? I said, yeah, my son needs prayer. He said, well, let's do it right now. I didn't know the guy. Didn't know him, but we did right there in the parking lot. And that's the thing about your relationship with Jesus Christ is you have to have the faith and you have to mean it. You don't just thank him, be like, oh, thank you for everything. I'm thankful for my new job. I asked him if I was supposed to get a new job, show me. Well, an hour after I prayed about it, I get a phone call, and the guy said, hey, let's have lunch. I went to lunch, and the guy said, hey, I want to give you a job. And I've been at this other place that I've been for many, many, many years. Did not want to leave. I was comfortable there. Mm-hmm. But I needed it. And since then, I've been all over North Carolina, all over Southwest Virginia, Northern Virginia, and I get to see people and meet people that are like-minded. And I meet a lot of people that are not like-minded. Mm-hmm. But guess what?
You're reaching out.
You can tell them about what God did for you.
You're reaching out to the mechanic.
Yeah, I'm around machinery operators. Yes, I'm around superintendents. I'm around project managers. I'm around people, just everyday people. And if you tell somebody, if you knew me 2 years ago, it's a different guy. God changed my life. Mm-hmm. I was able to overcome addiction. Mine was alcohol. Mm-hmm. 1 week ago tomorrow, I was back in Marion where I was at today. The young man hurt his arm a little bit. He went to the hospital, and we talked about pain medicines. And I told him up front, I said, look, dude, I said, be careful. I said, I know a lot of people that had an injury, a work-related injury or a car wreck or something, and the first thing you know, they're addicted to painkillers. Mm-hmm. And it's this young guy, 20-some years old. I wouldn't have told him that. I wouldn't have known anything about other people's addiction until I went into a recovery facility, a Christian-based one, mm-hmm. and I learned about God. Mm-hmm. Knew him all my life. I'm 58 years old now, and I knew him for 50-some years, mm-hmm. but I did not have a relationship until he moved into my life and helped me get over being an alcoholic, a raging, functioning, like you say, functioning alcoholic. That is a slick word, functioning, because most addicts of any kind are functioning addicts. Say if you're hooked on pornography, mm-hmm. well, you might have a wife and a family, but you're consumed by this other thing, but you're functioning.
I see people in front of me many times that they're charged with impaired driving.
Yes.
And I want you to explain that later on. But they're saying there's nothing wrong. I'm not drunk. And I look at the paperwork, and I had one not too long ago. It was a 30-some.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how the guy was not even in the hospital.
Should have been dead.
He wasn't a big man. He wasn't. Yeah. You would think the larger the person, the more alcohol. It's like, but I've seen average people that they were talking just like I'm talking to you, yeah. and they just happened to be, going down the road or whatever was the reason.
That's the trick.
And I every one of them are in denial. Like I'm fine. There's that machine.
The devil's
nothing wrong with me, man.
The devil don't want you to be good. The devil wants you in some kind of an addiction. He wants to kill you.
Yes, sir.
That's his deal. The devil wants you out of here, because if you can tell somebody else what God's done for you, he don't want that. He does not want you to have the capacity to tell anything good about Jesus. He doesn't want you to help somebody have a relationship with Jesus. So he tricks you into believing that addiction's not that big a deal. That's not that big a deal. And you can go on and try to function and try to work, but deterioration over your life it happens a little bit at a time. Now, some addictions happen fast. One of my closest people in my life became addicted to gambling and lost everything he worked for 50-some years. The man, that's my father, my dad. It happened fast like that.
One ticket or one, but it didn't have lottery tickets back in the day. But it was like
you figure
one poker game or something.
He
like
worked and retired from a job and was one of the most successful furniture executives on the planet.
Man,
and retired well, and went to a casino one time, and that feeling, that euphoria, whatever you get from your alcohol, your methamphetamine, your fentanyl, your pain pills, everybody abuses all those things. Well, it's the same feeling that you get released in your brain, and some people get it I got it from alcohol, and it wasn't a beer. I could probably have, back in the day, drank a little wine, never touched it again, drank a cold beer, never touched it again. But you show me whiskey, and I was on a tear. I was on a path, and I liked it. I liked the feeling, but I was miserable.
I want to ask a question that I think will help the audience. We're here in Virginia. We're in Southwest Virginia.
Yeah.
And Mark got out of the Hope Center, which is right in the area. And of course, I'm trying to help Mark as much as I know how in my part of it. You remember that, We constantly try to, do you want to go out to eat? And Mark was always trying to restore things with his family going. He has 5 children, I think.
5 kids.
So he was always, I can't go this Sunday, but
11 grandchildren.
I think he was very busy with catching up, but it seemed like Mark was constantly trying to go back and make things right. And
Absolutely.
And then one day Mark comes to me and says, hey, I got to go down to North Carolina, which is not far from here. That.
Yeah.
I got a DWI that I want to go and clean up, but I got back in the day, back before I was a Christian, before I got cleaned up, before I went to the Hope Center.
This was back in 2017, 2016,
and I'm
10 years ago.
I'm thinking, Mark, in my mind, I'm thinking like the criminals think, like, okay, the officer's probably not, I forgot to tell y'all, I'm a full-time magistrate in addition to all these other jobs. But, I mean, we have a lot of time. We'll work a long shift, 24 hours, and then we're off a couple days. So we have all this stuff we do on the side and ministry and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm been promoted to chief magistrate, over in North Carolina. So, I've spent a lot of, I'm in my 28th year working there. So I'm working with the state doing that. And I'm thinking like the criminals think, why would a guy go back over there? The officer might not be there. Why go back and want to have a case tried against you when you don't even live in North Carolina? But yet it was something in Mark's heart. I think it was I don't think you just went over there so you could drive in North Carolina. I think you wanted to clean up some old issues. And can you tell the audience about that?
My life had become such a wreck.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was just a wreck. And I had a lot of little things that I needed to try to deal with for real, but I wanted to do it the right way, the correct way.
That's right.
You don't just go be Mr. Slick and keep being Mr. Slick, because that's just as bad as lying. If you're going to be, I can't help you. I can't help you if you're struggling. If I'm doing a lot of sideways stuff over here, I can't do it. So you're not the only person that said, what is wrong with you? Why are you going to go back down there and address this thing? Well, I felt like that was the correct way to do it. If you're going to do it the correct way. So I got in touch with the state of North Carolina, and I'm like, all right, this happened a long time ago. I've been living under a rock for a long, long time. I have worked really hard to correct my character or lack of character, and I want to address this. And it was a chore. To say the least, it was a chore. Took a long time. I just have recently restored everything legally, the correct way. I went and stood in front of a judge, an extreme nice lady. Her name is Gretchen something. And
Judge Kirkman.
yeah, she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
she's one of the
very
nicest
kind to me.
judges I've ever worked around.
Well,
worked with.
I was standing in the courtroom that day, and my fate was right there.
And you were wondering, like, is she going to throw the book at me?
Yep.
Things like that.
I didn't know if I was going to go back across the road or, I didn't know.
Down the hill to the jail.
Yeah, and I had finished 12 months of sobriety. I had, passed 1 million drug screens. We had to take a drug screen every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. But I was clean. I was clean. And look, when I was in my addiction, those thought processes are not there. You're not worried about fixing stuff the correct way. You're worried about slicking around or sneaking around to keep being a functioning addict or an alcoholic. That's right. I call it all addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. I could be addicted to too much water. It's still an addiction.
It's several crayons in the box.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
But they label things like he's an addict. He's a drug addict. Mm-hmm. Well, an addiction is an addiction.
That's right.
And if it consumes your life, it doesn't matter what it is.
So what happened in court? Did it go like you thought? Or
I was standing there, and this is a God thing. I don't think I've ever even shared this with you. I had not been in a courthouse in North Carolina in years. 17, I can't remember exact number, but long time. Had not seen the arresting officer since that day in, I think it was 2016, 2015. It's all
Were
blurry.
you hoping he wasn't there? Were you hoping he had moved on?
I hadn't seen the dude,
But,
Yeah.
Well, I guess not. I guess you wanted to take care of it either way, right?
I'm
Yes, sir.
in the courtroom. They call my name.
Yes, sir.
And the prosecuting attorney's over here. There's an attorney here, and I'm standing there looking at this judge. And this North Carolina Highway Patrol officer walks through the door, and he saw my name on the paper docket outside. And he thought, I remember that guy. And he came in and approached the prosecuting attorney. And he said, is there any way I can speak on behalf of Mr. Turbyfield? And
That's a state trooper.
The same guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And she said, absolutely, if you want to. So he addressed the judge. And he talked about the condition that I was in when I got my DUI. And he talked about, for some odd reason, he had kept up with me. And he knew about my recovery. He knew about my sobriety. And he didn't know I was going to be in court that day. He just happened to be walking through and saw my name on the docket, on the paper docket stapled to the door or out front. And I don't know why he showed up that day. I do know why. I do know why. God puts people in your life that are there for good stuff, to put in a good word for you. But he spoke good of me. He spoke good of my recovery. And when it was all said and done, I was done with the legal part of the state of North Carolina judicial system. I was done. I had already paid my debts. I had already pulled the time, paid the debts, done everything, but then I went and hid under a rock for many, many years. And it was time for me to face whatever she said. Well, I had to do some community service. I had to do just a little bit of stuff. Then the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicle, they got involved in it, and they required a lot more time and money.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not going to get into the details of that, but it took a long time, and I got through it. There is a company in Dobson called Phoenix Collaborative Counseling. And I went and contracted to them to get me through all these 20 steps of that were required. Finally got it all done. The North Carolina DMV. And I'm not throwing off on them, but they don't communicate with other departments in North Carolina.
We know all about the DMV.
They're just them. That's cool.
Yes, sir.
But it was a struggle. It was a wrestling match, and I got through it. And finally, one day, a lady that works in Raleigh reaches out to me, and she said, "Hey, it's been a minute. Go get your license."
Okay.
And I did.
Yeah.
And now I'm legal to drive anywhere in the world. I've got a real ID. I can get on a plane. My life is so much better today than it was 120 weeks ago tomorrow, because when I needed it at the most, I sat beside of a creek. My best friend is a quarter horse trainer. You know, I told somebody this the other day, we're friends. Me and you are friends, but you've got a best friend somewhere. All your life, you're going to probably have one or two best friends. Well, this dude, he is my best friend. His name's Scott. He's my buddy. I went to his place. I went to the creek. I got on my knees, and I said, "God, I need some help." That was on Thursday, March 14th, 2024. And on Friday, the very next day, I went in recovery. And I learned about God. I learned what he can do. I was looking at a year living in a house with 40 dudes that I didn't know. All of us addicted to something, and primarily alcohol and drugs. And none of us really knew Jesus. Some of us found him. Some of us didn't. The ones that didn't are still struggling. The ones that did, my good friend Gary Bean from Hickory, North Carolina, Lenore, North Carolina. He's from Lenore. He came to church Sunday, and he's recovered, doing great. Brought a guy with him that's training to be a recovery pastor, doing great. They're from they work down around Maiden, North Carolina. That's where my dad's from. The other day I had the opportunity to stop at Centerview Baptist Church. My grandfather helped build that church, not start it, put the bricks in it, build it, structure. Directed the music there for years. Can't read a lick of music, but he could. They know how it sounds. It's some kind of weird deal with down there. That North Carolina. You from North Carolina?
Well, I'm a drummer on the. I played drums, and I can't read. I've tried to read music, but I've got rhythm, and I can make it happen.
You know how you can tell when there's a bad drummer that visits your house? When he knocks on the door, it speeds up. The knock speeds up.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Mark,
No, I'm just kidding.
Can you tell about how this how this job came to you? How did?
Yes, I can.
Were you on a regular basis? I guess you were praying on a regular basis. You had a regular walk with God on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Did something come to you feel like maybe I can do more than what I've always done? I mean, I'm comfortable in life, but it's something. Maybe God's trying to take me to a new level.
Absolutely.
Like
I'm going to tell you
2.0.
exactly how this whole deal worked out now.
I think that'd be awesome.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about my prayer life, okay?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes if I've got something that's really heavy on me, I'll just stop and just pray, But I try to do it in earnest, for real. I don't do no, "Dear Lord, please forgive me for all the bad stuff I done," blah. No, I if I need something, like for somebody, if I'm praying for somebody, I say their name. A lot of people tell me all the time, they say, "Would you pray for my sister?" I'm like, "What's her name?" And I write it down. I've got a friend that lives below me. Her name's Amy, and she's got a daughter named Nala. I pray for them with their name out loud. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
When I go to bed at nighttime, before I get into bed, I'll go ahead, and sometimes you don't got to kneel. You can sit down and be comfortable. I talk to God like I talk to you. And sometimes there's a word that comes out of my mouth. It's probably not proper. Some people would say it's not proper, but guess what? He built me. He knows I'm going to say it, and he forgives me for it because I have to ask him. But we're close like that. We're cool like that. I can go to him and say, "Man, I'm struggling here. I need you, pal." not just because he's the greatest thing ever, but he's my friend. He's the most comforting thing I've ever had in my life. And that's why it's important to me when I was going to pray about my work. The company I worked for, I've been with many, many years, a family. It's like my family. I didn't want to leave, but I felt like there was some reason I needed to do something different in my life. Just like when I needed to quit drinking, I asked God specifically to help me stop my problem. I knew I had a problem, but it was stemmed from a whole lot of other little problems. And it was beating on me. Well, he took it off of me. Mm-hmm. He took it off of me. And bitterness, you ever had bitterness in your life?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, try to live with that. There was one specific person in my life that I was bitter about. And man, I would pray and I wasn't specific about it. I mean, like, God, I feel kind of bad, man. Fix it. No. When I uttered the dude's name and I asked God to make me no longer be bitter to one individual, in my 50-some years of living, guess what? He took it.
Yes, sir.
He took it. And it was just like I felt like I weighed 155 pounds chiseled out of granite and I could whoop the feathers off of Geronimo. That's what I felt like.
Yes, sir.
And I felt like it every day since then.
You know,
I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, man, how you doing today? And the very first thing out of my mouth, I said, I'm doing great. I said, I have a hard time having a bad day anymore.
That's right.
But the deal with my job, I knew I needed something because I was kind of comfortable. I was comfortable in this rut. And I just told God, I said, man, if I'm supposed to have a different job, you better show one up because I'm gonna stay right here. If it ain't your will, I'm gonna stay right here and I'm gonna fix Chevrolet cars. I'm gonna fix diesel trucks, Chevrolet Duramaxes, and that was my deal. I was a Power Stroke guy. I'm a Duramax guy, and now the company I'm working for now has put me in a Cummins. So if something happens in, I'm gonna learn all about them. Sure. But look, I prayed in earnest about it, and right shortly after that, I get a phone call. Didn't know nothing about a job. Nothing about a job. And the guy's like, hey, let's go eat lunch. I'm like, okay. Normally I didn't go eat lunch. Didn't nobody ever call me, say, hey, let's go eat lunch. You know, not like that. Knowed the guy for many years, knowed him since he was a young boy. Knowed his dad, worked with his dad for approximately 25, 27 years, something like that. Knew him his whole life. We sat down at County Line Cafe over here on 58, and he said, look, I don't know what the deal is, but I want you to go to work for us. And I now work for a company called Caton Construction. They're based out of Zion, Virginia. They treat me better than gold, and I get to go out and work on equipment, Case, Komatsu, Volvo, Lull, any kind of equipment that you see on a job site, building a road or a bridge, or I got to go to Southport, North Carolina, and work on I think you say it, Manitowoc crane. Okay. And it was a highlight of my fixing career.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
that's a long way from a Chevrolet, isn't it?
Well, that's a long way from when I was 12 years old. My daddy bought me my first set of wrenches, and they're right out there in my service truck right now.
Yes, sir.
They come from a place right over here that's about 50 feet from where we're sitting, called J.C. Matthews Hardware Company. I still got them. But you know why I got them? I like to take apart his lawnmowers and stuff.
Yeah, you had it in you.
I had it in me.
Yes, sir.
But the other day, several weeks ago, I got to go to North Carolina and work on a 250-ton crane. And now it's down there building a bridge for the fine people of Southport, North Carolina, where you can go and vacation and visit and drive across this fine bridge that I had a hand in fixing the equipment that fixes the bridge. Before that, I was proud of my work, very, very proud. I've always been extremely proud of the fact that if you've got a truck that nobody can fix, you bring it to me. Bring it and leave it here, because I won't stop till it's fixed. Now I get to do the same thing on a piece of equipment that's that you could pick this building up with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just amazing.
It's a different kind of high.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of high in my addiction was to make good feelings go away, to mask them. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want these acute feelings. Now I crave acute feelings of goodness. You know, when we're finishing up church on Sunday morning, and he says, Dave says, you've got one job now.
That's right.
You got one job.
Found people, find people.
Found people. He said, go find somebody.
Yep.
Well, every time I have an opportunity to tell somebody about what God's done for me, and I don't go around because I'm not very versed in the Bible, but I tell you what I do them soaps. You know, I write the soaps.
That's right.
I share them on TikTok. I share them on the Facebook. I share them. But like when I first came out of recovery, I thought, boy, I got to write one every day. I got to. Well, no, I need one every week. No, you don't. When God tells you to share something, then do it. And I just told my youngest boy last night, he came over, he's going through some stuff. We were talking about, I gave him a book. I gave him a men's daily devotional for men. Because what he's going with right now, it's a man thing. Right? But I told him, I'm going to write one for tomorrow. There's 120 weeks. It's a big deal. Every day's a big deal for me. But tomorrow's 120 weeks, and it's something about smile. And I looked it up last night, and it's in the Bible 3 times, the word smile. And I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to write a soap on that one, whichever one it is. I'm not sure yet, but I'll do that later on. But I'll sit down, and I'll decide which one, and I'll pray about it because I'm a little bit stupid, you know. But when somebody says, man, you smile now. You smile again. You smile. That smile's back. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because God helped me fix some stuff that was pretty much on its way to put me in the dirt. I was going to check out of here. I was pretty much happy with the fact that, you know, I'm miserable. I'm an alcoholic. I knew it. And you know what? We said something a while ago about my kids. My kids never did turn their back on me. A lot of people never did. But I turned my back on them because I was embarrassed. You know, you raise your kids, you can't tell a lie. Well, boy, I started telling them. And they'd call you up and be like, hey, the kid's having a birthday party Saturday. I'll be there. I knew when I said I'll be there, that was a lie because I wasn't going to be there. I was too ashamed to show up for it. God fixed all that, all of it.
That's right. Mark, I want to, when you talk.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got a little carried away.
I appreciate everything. It looks like what we've talked about, these 2 examples are total correlation to what we talked about today in the scripture. If Obed-Edom would have stayed and said, you know, well, I got 3 months of the ark being in my house, you know, but when the king
That's good enough.
But it's good enough for me. But he didn't stay in the Hope Center, so to speak. He didn't stay living on an experience that happened in the X number of years ago. He went to where the ark was, went to the temple, and went to the king, and the king saw so much blessing in Obed-Edom, like your case. He said, this guy wants to be around the presence of God so much, I'm going to make him a porter in the house. Didn't say he was a preacher. Didn't say he was, you know, it said he was a gatekeeper, a porter, whatever the case. And and this guy in the New Testament, who we don't know what kind of job he had, whatever the case, but he could have stayed and said, well, Jesus said I can't go on his discipleship team, crusade team. But what if he just said, I'm not going to the Decapolis, I'm not going to the cities? But he went, and in both of these cases, Mark, you did exactly what happened, what needed to be done, and I'm just excited to see where the future's going to take you.
You think about this for a minute. August the 1st last year, I got to get up in front of people and give my testimony. First time in my life. And my buddy Chris that put on the revival out there in Baywood, he said...
Chris Cox.
Chris Cox, yes. Awesome dude. He's kind of weak looking. He's pitiful.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's kind of pitiful. I told him the other day, I said, you keep on that exercising, buddy. I said, you're going to get like this right here.
Yeah, he's got a great build on it.
I told somebody the other day, we were talking about something. I was talking about being hot and sweating and all. I said, that's how I stay at fighting weight, you know. Yeah. But that's all joking. But look, I prayed, and this is the exact prayer I give, and I'm talking right straight to you here. I did not know about speaking in front of people. I wasn't familiar with that. I've always had a foul mouth, and I prayed for two things right before I done it. And this was August the 1st, 1 year ago. And I said, God, wrap your hand around my tongue. I said, let me speak without offending anybody.
That's
and
right.
Let me speak without making an idiot out of myself.
That's right.
You know, give me the stuff to put out of here. And I hope one person comes to know you today. That's what I prayed for. Right out in the grass, right before I went in there, right? Guess what? I didn't know how to do an altar call. I've seen them. I've been around them. I had one time, you know. But when it come down to where I was pretty much wound her up, I was like, I've got to say it now. And finally I just said, hey, look, y'all, what God done for me, he can do for you. And if you don't know him, if you come on up here, I'll pray with you. And some dude, and I know him good now, but never seen the guy. He gets up out of his chair and walks up there, and we hugged and prayed. And that was the most greatest blessing, because I asked God for two things. And guess what? I didn't cuss. I didn't say nothing stupid. And a man found Jesus.
Right. Yep.
And I get to see him occasionally now, and he's still doing great. He's happy. Yep. And like this thing we're doing here, I hope it reaches millions of people, but I really, really pray for one.
I tell you, Mark, you got a lot of friends.
Look,
social friends and
we all suck at life, really, and we need God to keep us kind of straightened out.
Yes, sir.
I know I'm gonna sin. I know I'm going to. I smash my thumb. I might say a really, really sideways word. That's a sin. If I look at somebody inappropriately, that's a sin too. If I stop on the way home and buy a bottle of liquor and down it, that's a sin too. There's things that can happen in your life that you need God to keep you corrected, keep you straight. So what I'm trying to get at is I'm going to keep trying until he takes me on out of here. I hope I live to be 197 and I get to touch millions of people.
I tell you, Mark,
but if he takes me tomorrow and what we're doing right now touches one,
that's right.
I'm cool with that. That's what I want.
We're getting, me and you both, we were about the same age.
Yeah.
And we're getting to the point where, it makes you think when 2/3 of your life is behind you, there's more of our lives in all rhyme and reason behind us. And it makes you think about, well, I could leave here, man. So-and-so left here and they died and this person died. They were younger than I am, but I think about life and I think, I want to leave in the right time, if it's through the rapture of the church when Christ comes back, or if it's through death. But I hope God will give me some more time so I can.
I beg to see.
Share the gospel.
Me and my youngest son was talking last night about this very thing. He's 30. Okay. Just found out the other day, a friend of mine is 31 years old, no longer with us. He something happened.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But that was his time. It was his time. Me and Kate were talking last night. I said, I hope I get to see you get old. Then I get to leave. Then you get to get old, so your kids get old.
That's right.
I said, that's what we all hope for.
That's right.
I said, nobody wants to have to bury a child, one of their children, because it's not supposed to work like that.
Yes,
well, we don't get to make them rules. We don't get to make how it turns out.
That's right.
If you read that Bible there, me and Caleb, we had them out last night. I had 2 or 3 of mine out. Was talking about the different ways it's wrote. The King James, the New King James, the NIV, the WBRFC.
Yes, sir.
All them different ones.
Yes, sir.
Well, the reason that they've done that is to help people come to know Jesus. Because if I had to read the King James version all the time, I'd probably give up on it because you know what I mean?
It's different.
There's one called the Amplified Bible.
Yes, sir.
Well, some people don't like that one so much. And there's some people, if you don't read the King James Version, don't you come around here with your New King James Version.
I've had that happen when I tried to get involved in some prison ministries and things of that nature. In this area,
I'm going to tell you one more
you don't have
good
the
thing.
King James is good enough for Paul and Silas.
I'm going to tell you one more good deal about my recovery, okay?
Yes,
in the Hope Center. This happened at the Hope Center. Two things. The day I went in there, I was not a pleasant person. I was coming down off of I had the detox, I had the shakes, I had all that stuff, right? So I wasn't a real friendly feller. Well, first dude I met was Gary Horton, and he gave me we were trying to read the Bible that they give me, I'm back blind anyway, so I was over there and I was in a bad mood. I was trying to read, and I said, "Boy, wouldn't it be cool if somebody made one of these things with big letters?" Well, guess what? The next day, somebody gave me a King James Version Bible with great big letters, extra large print. Started reading it because I could see it good. Kind of liked it, but I didn't understand it. And I told somebody, I said, "Boy, if I can ever get me one of these big letter Bibles with some of the easier reading in it, I'm gonna buy me one." Well, didn't have no money. A complete stranger gave me $20 one day. He said, "You might need to buy yourself something." The next day, I got my very first trip to Walmart in recovery, and there was a Bible for $19.99, and I have carried it with me every day since that day. Mm-hmm. It's a new King James Version with great big print in it. And it's my sword. It's my sword.
That's right.
I got a bunch of them.
Yes, sir.
But that's the one. If I'm gonna have to go to battle, I've read through it, and I've read, but it just because it's different, it enabled me to come to learn more about it.
Yeah, you can only pull one trigger at a time, Mark.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah,
that had to be a miracle. I needed to learn about God, but somebody giving me $20. And I didn't have $20. Mm-hmm. Well, the next day I needed $20 to buy that Bible, and it was in my shirt pocket that somebody gave me.
Man, that's awesome, man.
And I'm telling you right now that don't just, God puts stuff in front of you if you see it. It's like the dude that's drowning, and he sends him a boat, and he finally dies, and he's like,
"Yeah,
man, why didn't you save me?" He said, "I sent a boat over 37 times." You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's the same with life.
That's right.
He puts people like you in front of me that help me.
Yes,
sir. Matt in front of me to help me. This moment helps me. But I want to help somebody by sharing the fact that it ain't easy, but you have to commit to it. And part of the deal is, if he's helped you at all, tell someone about it.
That's right.
Go tell somebody what he done.
Well, Mark, I want to ask if you would pray for anybody. We're coming to the end of the show here.
Yes.
And we've got all kinds of people that may or may not be listening. We feel like there's a lot of support because we hear from people. But anybody that's stagnant in life and that is ready to go to the next level, I would just ask you to pray for it. And there's people I work with over the time and know that they may be going home and I think some of the music people listen to. I was working with a guy not too long ago, and he's listening to that song by, the painter lingo. You're either a preacher or a painter. You know how that goes, man. Or drunk. I mean, you're either an alcoholic or a preacher. And I do a lot of painting, and some of the music, like it was. I probably don't need to call the artist, but you would know what I'm talking about. But he said that in the song, he's saying the heck. He's not saying heck, but he's saying the heck with the red wine. Pour me some moonshine. I know you've heard that song.
Oh yeah.
And when you hear that mess all day, and it's getting in your spirit, and you're thinking about that stuff. When you go home, you just want to pop a top. You know what I mean?
There used to be a song, Pop a Top again.
But could you have prayer with somebody that may be in that lifestyle, maybe just in a general thing of life, and their prayer life sucks, and they're not where they need to be with God, and they're just going through the motions, and yet God's trying to do what He did for you and take you to a new level. God, absolutely. I'm telling you, audience, whoever you may be, God doesn't want you in a boring life. He wants you out here getting after it. Wouldn't you agree?
He wants you to be excited.
Mark would be miserable locking folks up every day, but he when he gets on a truck or a crane or something like that, he's on it, and God's with him, and He's using him to affect that audience of people. And so I just like you to pray right now, brother. If you can just pray a short prayer, and then we'll close it out.
I'm going to pray for somebody specific because he's going through it right now.
That's right.
And he needs. He's been to church for the last 2 Sundays, and I hope he goes to 200 more.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Okay, y'all ready?
Yes.
I had to overlook my hairdo.
That's all right.
I've sweated about 9 gallons.
He just got off the
I just came in off of 81 there.
Yes, sir. Go ahead,
bridge
sir.
job. Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this very moment right now in my life. Dear God, thank you for Matt. Dear God, thank you for the other Matt. Dear God, I need you to reach down right now and get a hold of Caleb Turbyfield. He needs some guidance. Been trying to talk to him a little bit about you, and we've talked about this before, me and you, how I got church hurt one time, and he got a little church hurt one time when he was young, and he's having a hard time getting right back to it. But I want to pray right now for Caleb and Sarah and Josephine and August. They're special to me, and you know why. I ain't gonna go into all that, but put your arms around that family and give them guidance. And dear God, give Caleb some perseverance, because it's going to be a time or two, I promise you, that he's going to want to give up and quit. But give him strength, give him perseverance, and everybody that can hear what I'm saying right now on the podcast that's struggling, God knows you and he loves you. You cannot do anything to make God stop loving you. He created you, and he wants you to prosper and be happy, and reach to him. Look to him and talk to him. I promise you, he's not a figment. He's real, and he can change your life. And dear Jesus, I'm going to ask you for all this stuff in your precious Son's name. Amen.
Amen. And all I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is just get after it like Mark's doing. He's 2.0 now. Another year we may do something. We don't know. Mark may be in the White House in another year. I don't know what may happen, helping the president. But
they got a new plane I can fly around in.
Yeah, well, he might be the maintenance man on the plane for who knows. But
all them jet engines.
I'm telling you that God wants to do something in your life and mine, and I'm excited about it. And Mark's just had a tremendous testimony, and that can be you. And if you're stagnant in your life, the best thing I can tell you, you've heard what the man said. You've heard how it worked. You've heard the scripture. Now it's on you to make it happen for you. And God can change your life. And so let that be said, that you can do all things through Jesus Christ, who strengthens us.
Yes.
I live under that every day, and I know that God will watch over your life. So I want you to give us a like, share this thing with somebody that may need it. If somebody's had some prayer requests, reach out to me on the comments, or just get in touch with me. There's a lot of people we reach that don't know God in the way they could. So with that said, we'll see you next time on the Fire from Momire. And I always say this, if I want to refer to the rapture of the church. I believe Jesus could come back at any time. But if I don't see you here or there, I'll see you in the air. Amen. Thank you for that. With that said,
thank you.
Make it a great week, guys. Thank you.